welcome to another video. Today I am going to be doing a collab with Aleisha from A Kiwi Mummy. We are both raised in a house full of boys, and so we thought it would be a great idea to kind of come up with the pros and cons of raising only boys, no little girls in the house. And it's not the fact that there's cons to it, but just the things that we get day to day about raising boys that kind of is more on the not so fun side, I guess. If you haven't checked her channel out, go and check it out. I will link her in the description below. She has two little boys, Christian and Weston, and she's also a New Zealand mummy like me. If you're coming over from Aleisha's page, hi! My name is Emma and I'm a married mum of three little boys here in New Zealand. My little boys are Jaden, who is nearly 8. Can't believe he's going to be 8 this weekend. Bentley, who is nearly 4, and then our little Grayson, who is 6 months old, and he's our little miracle. So if you enjoy this video and you want to know more about our little family, please go down and click that subscribe button. Let's get on with the video. So we're both going to list 3 pros and 3 cons each. Not that there's many cons around boys, I love it, but just the 3 things that we feel that we worry about, or just the issues around parenting boys. So I'm going to start off with my cons first, get them out of the way, and then finish on my pros of raising my little boys. So my first con is a big one. It is something I've always stressed about, and that is the fact of them getting older, choosing the right girl, and having children. I stress about the fact that they'll either choose a girl that, if they had children, that would just take my grandchild away, or decide they just don't want to be with him anymore, or get with a new guy and decide that he's the new father. All these things that you see day to day, or the fact that my boys, I stress I want them to grow up taught how to treat a lady, how to be good husbands and good fathers, and just that whole thing stresses me the crap out. I would hate for them to have children and then something goes wrong and I don't get to see my grandchild. It scares me. I want to be able to see my grandchildren, and the other side of that is, if I had a daughter, then I would hopefully get that close bond, that relationship of, you know, when she's pregnant and, you know, her coming to me, and when she goes into labour, hopefully she'd let me be at the birth, and just raising her children. Like, I would be her mum. I would hope that she would lean on me for support. I really hope that these boys choose girls that like me, and I've always thought I would try my best to get along with her no matter what, but I'm not going to get that relationship with a daughter, and I really hope that these boys don't choose girls that take my grandchildren away. It's really hard to get that point across, but you guys know where I'm coming from. I have a really good relationship with my mum, and I couldn't imagine not having her around, especially with my children, and so yeah, I'm really going to miss having that. So I hope you guys know where I'm coming from. It's really hard to get this point across, but I just fear that they'll either choose the wrong girl, or they're going to do something wrong and like upset her, and she'll take my grandchildren away, and like on the same kind of motion as that is, I'm not going to have that daughter to have that close bond with when she has children, and all that type of stuff. So that is my biggest con about raising boys. It's just that whole picture right there. So my second con is the fact that people think you must want a girl. The other day I was in the supermarket, and it must have been Old People Day because they were out in force, and about 3 times I was stopped around the supermarket, pretty much to be told that, you know, my boys are lovely, that they were being well behaved and all that kind of stuff, which was awesome. But then they'll say to me, oh, so, you know, just the 2, and I would say, no, I've actually got 1 more boy in school. And they're like, all 3 boys, you must want a girl. And I was like, no, I don't. I don't want a girl. And one lady, when she said, oh, you should go for 4, and I was like, you know what, I would love another baby, and she's like, yes, you would love a girl, wouldn't you? And I'm like, I absolutely love having little boys, and I hear it all the time. When I was pregnant with Grayson, I had people say to me, when it was leading up to find out what he was, I had a lot of people saying, I bet you want a girl, and I'm like, no, seriously, you know, I will be happy with whatever, and they're like, you're going to be angry if it's a boy, aren't you? And when we announced that he was a boy, a lot of people were like, how did you really feel about that? I loved it. I know that they only mean well, but just the amount of times you get told, you wish you had a girl, or, oh, were you gutted that he was a girl? I'm like, no, I'm not. I love my boys. Third and final con for having boys, and to be honest, I actually had to sit and think of a con. There's not very many, but my third and final one is just shopping for them. I find if I had a little girl, like when I'm walking around to find presents for like my boys or even other little boys, there's so much more range I feel for girls. Like there's all the jewelry stuff, there's all like making your own stuff, there's all the sewing stuff, like the little girl sewing stuff and all that kind of thing. Then there's this whole range of Barbies, and there's a whole range of like the knickknackies, like Shopkins and all that. And there's when you go and get all the arty stuff, it's all pink and glittery and just all that kind of stuff. And I know that you can get all that stuff for boys, and I do. But just for the most part, when you walk in and you're trying to find things, generally for a boy you get, it's either cars, Lego, or like Spider-Man superhero stuff. Even when the stuff I find is gender neutral, it's always in pink packaging though, or things like that. So that is my third con for having boys, is just I find there's more range of gifts and just stuff to buy girls than there is for boys. So moving on to the pros of having all boys, and there's so many for me, I didn't have much trouble at all coming up with these. First pro that I have to having boys is the fact that I don't have to watch them go through all the stuff that girls have to go through. You know, I don't have to deal with them getting the PMS and their period and having children and then having to go through all that fun stuff after you give birth. I don't have to watch my girls trying to figure themselves out. You know, makeup and clothing and their bodies changing and just all of that. All we have to do is hope that these boys make the right decisions as they grow up. We have to teach them, you know, how to be gentlemen and how to treat girls and not to be those horrible boyfriends and all that side of stuff. But for the most part, I feel like raising boys is going to be a lot easier on that end of the spectrum, because I just don't have to watch them go through all that. Like, I'm a girl, I know what it's like going through my teens, and so I don't have to feel sorry for my boys and all the stuff that they have to go through. The second pro to having all boys is, oh my goodness, it's so cheap. And I think this goes through to anyone that's got all girls too. I had most stuff from Jaden for Bentley. I didn't have to buy much. For Grayson, we did because we had sold everything. But generally, like, we've still got all the toys. And, like, I don't mind... I don't mind spending big money on the older boys because I know that stuff still has other kids to go through. Hey, Bentley has an abundance of trucks, but every time we ask for a new one, we're kind of like, yeah, you can have another one, because all that stuff's still got to come down to Grayson anyway. It's not... What was that? That's a con as well. You guys are so rude. What was I saying? Yeah, and another burp. Yeah, so like I was saying, you know, I don't mind buying the boys' toys, even if they've got an abundance of the same thing, because it's all going to get used time and time again, because it's got other boys to come down to. So I think that's a huge pro of having more just the same gender of children, because I just find it in the long run, it's so much cheaper. Clothing, like, it's all hand-me-downs. Toys, it's all hand-me-downs. You know, all their bedding for their beds. When this one came into a cot, he's got all the boys, like, blue blankets and everything. And then when he goes into a single, he'll have all the older boys, cool, like, Spider-Man stuff for their beds and Ninja Turtles and all that kind of stuff. So I do find it cheaper having all the same gender. I find having boys, I find them extremely loving. Almost like that persona around mummy's little boy and all that kind of thing. All three of my boys are very loving little boys. It's just something around having these boys, and I just feel like they love me so much. I know people with little girls, and their little girls are really clingy to their dad. There's a sense of there is a real truth behind like mummy's little boy or mother and son. I really hope that that continues. I would love to have a great relationship with them, and you know, I'm trying to raise them to and I'm trying to raise them so then they do remember that you know, I was mummy, I was their first love, I was the first girl that ever loved them, and I'm the first girl they ever loved, and just all that kind of stuff. I really love that mother-son bond, and I do feel like I have that with all of my children. Anyway guys, that is my video for today. If you haven't already, please go down and check out Aleisha's video. I will have it linked below. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Don't forget to thumbs this video up for me, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.